Today we're going to look at 10 players with immense upside due to their recent news. We're going to look at their advanced metrics. We're going to look at their new situation. We're going to talk some ball on them. But before you dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. You need to tap your finger on your phone. Get that done because we're covering these players every day. We're strategizing for your drafts every day. We're doing deep dives on these players every day, even during the season. That way you get the data on these players. You get my perspective on the situation. You can make your decision soundly, effectively. I'll help you set your lineups. I'll help you with the waiver wire with this channel. Click that button. And we're starting off with Marshawn Lloyd because he is back. And I didn't change anything to this because a few days ago there was a possibility that he could land on the IR due to the hamstring injury. But now A.J. Dillon's going to the IR. He is on the 53. Looks like he's good to go. He is going to be a handcuff. I don't expect them to use him a lot out of the gate due to him coming back from the hamstring, obviously. And Josh Jacobs, they're going to use him a lot. They're going to ride him till the wheels fall off. Marshawn Lloyd, though, top tier athleticism, good size, adjusted speed score, over 220 pounds, running in the low 4.4s. Got a good pop to his step, good in the open field. Looked good at the Senior Bowl as well, catching balls, considering it was at USC, and Caleb Williams does not check it down. Caleb Williams does not check it down. He got 13 balls last year, but Caleb Williams does not check it down. Prior to the news yesterday, he was going in the 15th round of underdog drafts. Now he's going to jump up some rounds. He's probably going to go in like Jalin Wright territory, maybe a little better, since all it takes is one injury, and he is going to be a big name that people are going to gamble on in fantasy football. And Josh Jacobs could go down week 1. Week 5, 10, whatever. But if you had him with your last pick, you would not have to drop any fab to get him. Blake Corum, the big news, and it was kind of a weird one, and you probably already saw the video, is Kyren Williams is going to be the team's punt returner. There's a lot to read about that. First off, Kyren Williams, how many punts is he really going to return during a game? Like 2, 3 at max? 2, 3, 4, 4 max or something like that? How many is he actually going to return a game? Also, a lot of those he's going to fair catch. On top of that, if he can't effectively catch a punt, return it a few yards, maybe even 10, 20 on a good run, maybe even more, and then take some carries, I'd be more worried about his conditioning. On top of that too, at the end of last season, or when he was injured and down last season, we knew they wanted to scale back his workload. They just couldn't. They drafted Blake Corum to do that. And I don't believe they're going to scale back his workload a ton. I believe they're going to scale back it some. And I believe Blake Corum is a very good handcuff to get. I like Blake Corum a lot. I like this backfield a lot. I like both these running backs. If I drafted Kyren Williams, I would make it a big concern to get Blake Corum as my backup. I would want that locked up because I know Kyren Williams is effective in this offense. I know if either one of these running backs go down, that running back's going to be effective in this offense. And I know that. This isn't a statement saying Blake Corum's going to steal his job, but it is a statement that Blake Corum is being very reliable in practice, that he's going to get some workload. He's going to help spell Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is very dependable. They moved him to punt returner so they can move around some other pieces on the team to make some roster changes fit. And they're going to have him as a punt returner probably for a bit, maybe a little bit, maybe for like the rest of the day today even. They're probably figuring things out at the moment. I think Twitter jumped the shark on this one. I like both running backs. I think Kyren Williams maybe should drop in price to a degree. But on top of that, we're playing money ball with the running backs anyways, if you're following with what I do. So you're not really going after a ton of Kyren Williams, but you might have some if he falls out of value, and I would want him out of value. I wouldn't want to pay up for him. I would want him out of value. I think he's still going to get decent workload. I think Blake Corum's going to come out getting some workload, and it might split up a little bit more than what you want in some games. It might be like that because Blake Corum's good. If something happens to Kyren Williams, Blake Corum's going to be a man. And I think Blake Corum is giving you a realization that you need to take him more seriously. Because the Rams, Sean McVay, just told you that yesterday, and everybody acted like the sky was falling. And if he can make the sky fall with just a couple news releases, then guess what? You probably need to invest in him, because even if he's just sniffing the field, if Kyren Williams is banged up just a little bit and you don't know if he's going to play or not, his value is going to jump the shark. Everybody's going to want him. Samaje Perine got cut, and I want to talk about Jaleel McLaughlin because he's going to be seeing more opportunities. He should be catching some checkdowns, getting more work in the passing game. We do not have a large sample of Bo Nix, but we do know he is not afraid to play the short game if the long game's not there, and he'll dink and dunk, which means there could be some targets going to Jaleel McLaughlin. Tim Patrick got cut. They're doing a youth movement here in Denver, which means they're not playing for Super Bowl. They're playing to develop. They are playing to win some games. They probably will win more games than you realize, but Jaleel McLaughlin going to be using the passing game, going to get workload, going to get a lot of snaps, going to get a lot of looks. Him and Javonte Williams are probably going to get a good amount of workload during the start of the season. Don't be surprised if Audric Estime starts getting some work in the back half of the season. Keaton Mitchell is going to the pup, and if your league allows it, you may want to throw him on IR if you can possibly do that. Maybe with your last pick, if you can maneuver it, if it's possible, you may want to throw him on IR, because looking at this backfield, it's Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, Derrick Henry, Rasheen Ali was not hitting the expectations during training camp. If Keaton Mitchell comes back to form from this injury, you got him stashed. You got room to stash on IR. And some of you guys are in leagues with unlimited IR spots. Some of you guys got leagues with just a few. And if you can't do it, you can't do it. But if you can, you may want to think about that. You may want to pick him up or whatever. Drop a guy, pick him up, draft him with your last pick, whatever. Throw him to IR, pick somebody off waivers. Do it that way. He's got 4.3 speed. He's electric. The coaching staff loves him. He's very sound with the ball in his hands. He's got a lot of upside. He can give you a spike week on any given moment. Derrick Henry, it's not even a slide against him. It's just running backs get hurt. Anything can happen. Running backs go down off and on throughout the season. And if he's back on the back end of the season and you got him stashed, now you got a free chip, because everybody's going to fight for him off the waiver wire again if that happens. Carson Steele, baby. Carson Steele. Deneric Prince got cut. Prince looks good on paper when you look at the athletic metrics and some of the stuff he's been able to do at training camp this year and last year. Training camp early on, he was looking good, and then he just started to fall back once we got the preseason time. Carson Steele is like our Peyton Hillis of this time. He is the Peyton Hillis of the 2020s. He's going to be the backup running back to Isaiah Pacheco. He is dirt-free in drafts. You can catch him with one of your last picks. He's on the Chiefs. We've talked about him a good bit, but Prince is gone. The Prince is gone, and now we're living with the steal. Dylan Laube is another cheap get. A cheap rookie running back who catches passes out of the backfield. He caught more passes last year than Marvin Harrison Jr. I get it. Lower level competition. I mean, it's New Hampshire. But still, for a running back, that lets you know that he's capable of catching passes out of the backfield. And that's what they're going to use him for if he gets any run. Of course, when you look at the running backs here, Zamir White, Alexander Madison, good grinders between the tackles. Laube's probably not getting drafted in your league. You can probably just watch his snap count throughout the first couple weeks. Pick him up if he's starting to get work. I imagine Zamir White, they're going to use him like Zeus, because he is the Zeus. That's the nickname. I imagine he's going to get a lot of touches. But they have said in the media that they're going to use their running backs a lot. They're going to get a lot of workload. So it's going to be White and Alexander Madison. We know what happens to running backs, and he might be used as a spell piece here and there. Tim Patrick going to the Lions. A lot of questions on him. He is a reliable veteran wide receiver that would be great for any depth chart in the National Football League. However, for fantasy football, in this situation here, we already know that Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta are going to get 50 to 60% of the targets. Jamison Williams has been looking good at training camp, and he's taken a step forward, and he will be the deep threat. Tim Patrick will probably be used intermittently here and there. He'll probably get some touches here and there, some targets here and there throughout the season, and shoot, maybe around Thanksgiving time, we'll get a Tim Patrick moment. But right now, it's a wait-and-see type deal. He's new to the team. He's got to work his way in. We got some pass catchers there that are already dominating targets and routes. Tim Patrick, though, just keep the foot on the brake and just see what happens going forward. Jermaine Burton is getting more in favor with the team from what I've been reading. Yoshi started off hot, starting to cool down. Jermaine Burton, the thing about him, he may not start off hot, but once we get middle of the season, we might get some Burton moments. So you may not want to draft him now. You may not be able to because you might be slamming running back in those double-digit rounds, but he might be a guy you're looking at as a potential option for your fantasy team down the stretch. Tyler Boyd, as the wide receiver 3, did give you moments of fantasy production here and there throughout the years. Jermaine Burton could be that. He'd be getting a higher ADOT because he's more likely to be used to stretch the field, and he'd be doing that out of the slot, moved around a little bit. As the third or fourth option in this passing offense, just pay attention to him. Jalin Hyatt had a good training camp. There's no news for him, but I just want to shine a light on this because you look at the average depth of target from last year, 20.7. That's elite. That's immense because he's got that speed to stretch the field. We saw that at Tennessee. Go back to that Alabama game. I know we're going at college film here, but how do you think I know about these rookies so good? So when you look at a guy like Jalin Hyatt, we know that Malik Neighbors is going to get over 20% target share. He's not going to be a consistent option for fantasy football, but due to the deep speed and due to him developing, he could be an upside play. A guy that gives you nothing for multiple weeks and all of a sudden splashes for like a 20-point game, then all of a sudden nothing, then splashes for a 20-point game, and a guy that you're gambling with off and on throughout the season. And those are some plays you may want to make off the waiver wire come middle of the year because you got to give it your all setting your lineup against the top teams in your league, and you're taking those gambles. He's probably going to be one of those gamble wide receivers midway through the season. Those are 10 players that we're looking at today with immense upside. Some news went in their way. We had to talk about them. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One, thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.